Your father, Dr. Akhtar Hameed Khan, he was 55 when you were born.
Yes.
One of the greatest Pakistanis was Akhtar Hameed Khan. In the Orangi pilot project, he proved to people that the moment you empower the people can lift their standard of living. They can look after themselves.
Let's take you back to your memory lane. What comes to your mind when you see this?
So a lovely time. This one is from Bangladesh when we went the second time in 79. Women in Pakistan are considered kamzor, helpless, bichari. But what I see every single day is resilience and how they're navigating the households and managing.
What's your personal definition of women empowerment after witnessing so many lives?
Women want one less child than men. So the ability to choose.
I'll just read out one statement and you let us know what comes to your mind. Primarily regarding with contraceptives. The pill can affect a woman's body in ways she may not expect.
Contraceptives are medicines, and every medicine does have a side effect.
The pill may result women experience depression and anxiety as well.
It is a possibility.
Pill may reduce libido, desire for intimacy. Do people know about it? I learned a lot through reading him, and I remember like during COVID, especially when I started reading his 12 Rules for Life. So on flipping every page, I would feel that I learned something.
Yes.
Right? And there was a lot, particularly about parenting, about mental health. There were like many topics where I felt that I wasn't really aware of those things. So that really helped me to open up my mind.
Yes. Do you have kids?
I have one daughter.
One daughter. Kitni badi?
She's 11.
Okay.
And some of the books here, if you see, she also added her.
Ye wali.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Billionaire boy.
she's also fond of reading, and the good thing is she's away from the devices so far.
So far.
So that really helps. And I see that, generally when she's sitting on her own and she doesn't have access to the devices, she becomes very creative as well.
Right.
Just yesterday, she developed a whole menu for an imaginary cafe she would open one day, right? So like all the interesting things, so like unicorn cake or like things that she would just imagine and she would draw it. And I asked if she took any inspiration from anything, and then she explained. So for example, if she had anything last week, she would notice how it's made so that when she draws it, she can, draw it more accurately.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
But so, yeah, I think like it is very important to get bored and, that's when the creativity flourishes.
हाँ, और अब ये न्यूरोसाइंटिफिकली भी इसी चीज़ को प्रूव कर रहे हैं कि your brain constant hyperstimulation actually causes it more stress. आपको थोड़ा सा वो जो के बैकग्राउंड में आपके थॉट्स सिमर कर रहे हैं, but you're not constantly stimulated.
And I think generally when we are doom scrolling, going through one reel after the other, we may sometimes feel that we are taking a break. But since our brain is processing all that new information that is coming through, it still makes us more exhausted.
Yes.
What I've done is that I've just put this particular thing in my mind कि जब ज़्यादा use होना शुरू हो जाए तो I delete the apps.
And that's a good way.
And then reading book is another way to take your...
Yes, उससे भी आपको slow होता है because you have to put the story together.
Yeah.
इतना easily, particularly as you read more and more complex books, थोड़ा सा आपको खुद अपनी उसकी put together करनी होती है. तो नहीं, it's good. Very good.
Because I think like when you're reading books, so there is one singular source of information and you're sticking to that particular message that the author is intending to give it to you. Although I find sometimes it is very difficult to like also keep your concentration in the book because there is like distraction. Agar koi message aa jata, call aa jati hai, to you get distracted.
And again, that's also okay ke distract ho jaye, but then go back and...
And generally, like what you're more interested in.
So for example, ये मैंने पढ़ी है Talking to Strangers. मुझे ये बड़ी interesting लगी.
इसमें उसने 2-3 बाइसीज का आपको जिक्र किया है कि
वो जो I remember that truth default that.
मैंने वो नहीं पढ़ी.
Oh yes, no. So within this book, so by default we accept people what they're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
वो और so किसी भी situation में we want people to behave in a certain way. So अगर वो Amanda Cox का जो example इसमें देता है कि murder हुआ था and she was behaving in a socially awkward manner.
Yeah.
So everybody assumed कि ये definitely guilty है because she wasn't crying excessively and she wasn't apologetic or whatever.
It's very interesting. And in Malcolm Gladwell's case also, I felt that he also evolved as a writer.
Yes.
Because when I read his book, Blink, it was more like, when you're an expert of something, behind the closed doors of your brain, you get to know things that the common people wouldn't know. But here he talks about all those biases that we have when we are making a decision. Even if you are like, working in CIA for 30 years, still you can make mistakes.
Yes. So, बहुत अच्छा. I really interesting book थी.
I think Outliers was his. I mean, that's my favorite one among them. I mean, Blink too, but Outliers was more for me to understand the process. That it's more about putting in that required number of hours into something, anything, any field where you want to develop your expertise. It's more about, giving yourself a chance to do it over and over again, and eventually you become master of that. And he also talks about different people and how they became outliers. So it was one, they got a chance to work on something.
Right.
They were born in a time, for example, Bill Gates was born in a time where he had the opportunity to find that lab where he could go and practice it. अगर वो 1 साल पहले या 1 साल बाद पैदा होता तो he may not have that opportunity. And then he started doing it, so he felt really excited doing it. He felt really good. So then he kept doing it for hours and hours, and he introduces that concept of 10,000 hours.
Yes.
So you put 10,000 hours of work into anything, and then, so you get to learn that skill. Thank you for your time once again. And
my pleasure.
I actually was interested to learn more about your father. And I mean, I think especially like the newer generation, we may have heard the name, read it somewhere, but we're not maybe like too much aware of the story behind it. So just tell us a bit about him.
Okay. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here. Akhtar Hameed Khan, born more than a century ago, 1914, and born in jab India, Pakistan was with one country. His father was a police officer and his mother loved reading. So the love of reading which he had came from his mother. And he used to tell ke bachpan se she would read Hali and Ghalib and poetry and in Persian, and he loved listening to her voice and enjoying. Like many Indians, he also applied and joined the Indian civil service, which in those times, particularly for a Muslim man to get selected was quite a big thing. So he got selected. In his batch, there were only 3 Muslims. He worked and served in the Indian civil service for about 9 years. And then the Bengal famine happened. Just truly the British mishandled and for whatever reasons led to a tremendous famine. And that, I think, truly disillusioned him.
And that's also when a lot of people died out of that.
Yes,
as a result of that
apparently
famine.
3 million.
3 million.
3 million, very preventable because grain was shipped out from South Asia and sent to the troops, the British troops. That truly disillusioned him. He used to say, I have learned enough, and if what I now truly want to do cannot be done as an Indian civil service officer, He resigned. He was 35 years old when he resigned. He worked for a while as a locksmith because he truly wanted to see what does poverty feel like. All of us, we sort of work in development or talk about poverty and talk about development, but I don't think any of us, we're lucky, have experienced firsthand what it feels to have very limited resources. So 2 years he worked as a locksmith and realized that his love of books, he couldn't afford books because at that time he also was married, had small children. So after 2 years, he gave that up and joined Victoria College as principal, worked there as a principal, and at that time kind of got interested more and more into development work. Worked with Ford Foundation and started the Kumilla Academy in 1959. So from 1959 to the partition of Bangladesh in 71, he was in Kumilla Academy. In Kumilla Academy, what was remarkable about him is he formed the farmers' cooperatives and cheese. Bangladesh wasn't at that time making high quality cheese. So farmers' cooperatives, land use efficiency, those are all things. And Sir Abid from BRAC and Grameen's Bank, Muhammad Yunus, attributed a lot of their learning in development to him in their books. They've both written books and they attributed that. Lifelong learner. I mean, one of the things you saw when you met him, and he's passed away 25 years ago, was this curiosity. He wanted to continue learning and understanding why and how things happened. And then the second thing, great respect for people. It didn't matter if someone was above him or below him in socioeconomic status. He truly wanted to learn and respected each and every one of them. So he was an interesting man.
And I was actually also learning more about him. So like I got to know about his initiative, that Orangi pilot project.
Yes.
So like huge project, and a lot was done through that particular project where the communities, they got together to, get those basic facilities.
Yes.
Thoda sa uske bare mein bataye.
So Orangi pilot project started in the 1980, funded by BCCI Bank, Agha Hassan Abdi. Started with just $10,000. And it wasn't that $10,000 in those times was a lot of money. Actually, Agha Hassan Abdi had offered him $100,000. But Dr. Akhtar Hameed Khan said that I don't need all that money. I first want to see what that community is like. He spent 6 months. Orangi is South Asia's largest urban slum. Us waqt, it was 1.7 million. Now it has climbed up to 4.5 million population-wise. It did not have underground sanitation, which led to disease and lot of lost working days and debility in the population. So 6 months, my mother used to laugh and say, he was 65 when he started Orangi Pilot Project. My mother used to laugh and say, "Gu galiyon mein ghoom rahe." Matlab, she was joking, but she was also a little annoyed. You've done so much and now all you're doing is spending your time. But that's what he did. 6 months, it was him. There was a Suzuki Jeep. And he would literally go around meeting people in Orangi and finding out what the issues were.
I mean, it's really inspiring to see, despite the fact when you don't have a system which is conducive to make things happen, you have lack of resources and the required support as well from the authorities. And, that imagination also, because like a lot of stuff that has never happened, for you to come up with a solution that is also really inspiring.
It is. And I think there were a lot of failures and mistakes. But one thing that he always kept on doing is listening. So, for example, the pit latrine and the tubing that goes, engineers in OPP, and many of them were not even trained, but working with architects and engineers, they actually came up with a model that worked. So there was a lot of experimentation. He did not think that you need to have all the answers. Every Friday in OPP, there was an open house meeting where anyone from Orangi could attend. And us meeting mein, they would discuss program activities, they would discuss budgets. There was no secrecy. Anyone from the community could come, and people did come. For the longest while, his office was above Daulat Square in Orangi Town, main Orangi Town. People did not want to sit there. People wanted air-conditioned offices. There was no air condition in the OPP office, and he was sitting in the middle of Orangi and loving it.
Let's take you back to your memory lane and tell us what comes to your mind growing up around a father. He was 55 when you were born.
Yes.
Yeah. So in these pictures, what comes to your mind when you see this?
So a lovely time, a very unusual.
That's you, right? In all of these
me.
pictures. Yeah?
All of
Okay.
this is also me. And this one is from Bangladesh when we went the second time in 79.
Yeah.
This is me in Kumilla. I was born in Karachi, but my mother came here for her delivery. At that time, my parents were both in Kumilla. A very interesting childhood. Certainly not the conventional childhood. How? One, my father's first wife passed away and he remarried my mother. So from his second marriage, I was the only child. And again, a late life only child. So somewhat spoiled. But he had a lot of time because even though he always was married to his work, I think when you grow older, you do slow down. And he definitely had more time to spend. And because I was always very interested in what is he doing, what sort of work is this, I went to a lot of meetings and I think learned a lot from him.
And I mean, through these pictures also, I was like, look, it was interesting to see that it appeared that you accompanied him in some of the meetings as well.
Yes.
And would you understand what was happening growing up?
Somewhat. As got better as I grew a little older. But again, when you're growing up, there's so many other things on your mind. I wish I had the chance to learn more from him now. I would have learned so much more. But again, I wouldn't change my childhood for anything.
So did that time also like shape your understanding about poverty, about people, or did that come later on in life through the work that you did?
I think it did because I spent a lot of my summer vacations working in Orangi. I went a lot with him to meetings and heard how people spoke, the agendas, the hidden agenda, the front agenda. So I learned a lot. I think I would have learned more now. When you're young, I think you're a little more sure of yourself. And I was no different, but I did learn.
And carrying his name, did it bring a little more pressure? Because
It did.
then expectations are huge.
It did. I think as children, as who become adults of more famous parents, you always carry the double responsibility and burden of meeting expectations. He was an interesting man in the sense that he did not voice any of his expectations, neither did my mother. But you still want to sort of follow in those footsteps. I think it worked out that I was a girl and didn't feel any need to compete. But yes, there is always that even the foundation, Akhtar Hameed Khan Foundation that I'm working in, I want to sort of follow in that same participatory development model. So I do.
And later on in your life, you went to USA to complete your education.
Yes.
I saw like a lot of degrees there.
It is. By training, I'm a doctor from Aachen.
Yeah.
And then I did my infectious disease fellowship and master's from the US.
Yeah.
Everyone from Aachen went to the US, so did I. Spent 10 years there. And as Abba used to say, once you're done with your education and learning, then do come back and work in your country. He had passed away by that time.
And so how did that journey eventually bring you to the development and gender, urban poverty in Pakistan?
So from a clinical perspective, I practiced. I used to work in PIMS. I was in the Ministry of Health. And one of the things that repeatedly, at least in Pakistan, it's much more stark, that so much of medical illnesses are easily preventable. I mean, clean water, good sanitation, access to preventive healthcare can save so many of the illnesses. So after 9 years of clinical practice, I think I had enough and it was time to switch. So public health.
Was there like a particular moment when you realized that health is beyond just hospitals and medicines?
I did a master's in public health. So I did realize that because you're trained as a clinician, you feel like you're letting medical practice down by switching over to public health, which is considered less of a profession than clinical medicine. But if you really want to make an impact at the population level, public health is the way to go.
In the work that you have been part of lately, do you think that is there any particular thing about women in Pakistan particularly that you now understand and you feel that not many people are still not aware of those challenges? So what sort of challenges would those be?
Okay, that's a really good question. Women in Pakistan are considered kamzor, helpless, bichari. What I see literally every single day in the community is that how strong. I mean, yes, they're vulnerable because of poverty. Yes, they're vulnerable because of rigid social norms. But what I see every single day is resilience and how they're navigating the households and managing. So I drive hope, from seeing how strong our women are.
Yeah. But do you think like we also sometimes romanticize the resilience part and because there is somehow circumstances that we create which pushes them to be more resilient. So when you see that angle somehow, what comes to your mind?
You're right. When you are given a set of circumstances, but how well they manage it. I mean, you see them having fun. You see them realizing and recognizing what their circumstances are and keeping the hope alive.
Yeah.
I mean, we work a lot in women's enterprise, very low literacy, micro entrepreneurs. And the stories they tell of the resistance they face, some of them were even asked to leave their homes because they wanted to earn income on their own and start their own businesses. And these are not big businesses. These are very home-based food catering, stitching, beauty parlor services. So it's very inspiring to see that despite so much of resistance, they continued to achieve their dreams. I mean, it's easy when you have a lot of resources and you know that there's a safety net. But it's harder when you don't know if this thing is going to work or not, and you still follow on your dreams. I get, whenever I'm too focused on myself and then I visit the community, I come back energized.
You worked with like thousands of women across like Pakistan, rural areas, maybe urban areas, maybe urban, right?
Mainly urban.
Right. But looking at their lives up closely, what do you think, what exactly, despite the political correctness about women empowerment, what's your personal definition of women empowerment after witnessing so many lives?
I think the ability to choose, having sufficient information so that they can exercise their right to choose. What does it mean? I've come across many women who want their children vaccinated, but for whatever reason, the mothers want their children vaccinated. For whatever reason, the father has an objection and the child remains unvaccinated, or the woman may secretly, in some cases, get the child vaccinated. Same for family planning. Our national data shows that women want one less child than men in the demographic health survey. So the ability to choose. I mean, Amartya Sen says that choice and capability, those are the two things.
Choice often comes when you have financial resources and capability to exercise your choice. I think whatever direction the women want to go, they should be able to exercise that. And that, unfortunately, in Pakistan, because of our norms and how we choose to exercise those norms, that is not easy. I mean, Bangladesh can be a good model for us. Bangladesh is a Muslim country like us, but the women over there have much more mobility. Poverty is much more than us, but their indicators and their mobility is much better than us.
The women participation to work, is that higher?
It's higher, and women's mobility is better.
So what I understand is that for women to have choices, they need to be financially independent and to have capability to be able to make those decisions. Right.
You need resources. You need financial resources to exercise choice. So, for example, this was a story that Amartya Sen writes when he was 9 years old and writes that a gardener came to work and got caught in the crossfire and was killed. The point is, he had no choice not to come to work that day. This is the 1947 के लड़ाई झगड़े हो रहे थे. Livelihood was at stake. So because he had to come to work, he was, in a way, caught in the crossfire. Women in Pakistan, for example, have one of the least asset ownerships or control of financial resources in the region. And that limits a lot of their ability to make choices, which if they had those resources, they would be able to do.
Right.
So it's a way of looking if we are having the discussion and dialogue on bringing women into the workforce and having women with agency, the ability to make decisions for yourself, you will have to look at how are we creating an enabling environment.
Right. And particularly mobility, how does that?
So mobility is of two types. Restrictions on mobility is of two types. One is structural. The transport doesn't come over there, or the transport is not safe. The other is social. Permissions. Who do you take permissions from? If you're going out in the neighborhood, again, our national data shows that less than 30% of the women can go out even in their neighborhood, forget about the city or traveling, without a male chaperone or permission. That puts a lot of restrictions.
And so comparison with the Bangladesh is quite fair, I guess.
Bangladesh, India, mobility is not so restricted.
अच्छा, so like not even in Bangladesh and India. यहाँ पर mobility का issue ज़्यादा है compared to two countries.
Yes.
But once the mobility is limited, then chances for them to find employment, that is also restricted, right?
It affects everything. Everything has a trickle-down effect. So if your mobility is restricted, that you need someone to drop you there, or you need to ask a family member's permission, then you're really not in control of your decisions.
Right. Even in urban areas. Right?
Even in
So I
urban
think like
slums.
Muniju, when they're to the extent of when women have to go to work, when they have to go to school, college, but they have to go to banks, for example, or any other services. So they have to take somebody with them.
National data shows that, and national data is pretty accurate. So that's what national data shows. And in urban slums, that's what our experience, both in Rawalpindi as well in Orangi, Karachi, that's what it shows, that permissions are a big thing.
And like you mentioned, it could be due to the lack of availability of transportation as well.
Safe transport or safety.
Yeah.
I mean, the intentions are good. I would like to believe that male family members have the best intentions for their female family members. But the point is, at some point, every individual is responsible for themselves.
Comparing it with India and Bangladesh, the lack of infrastructure for safe transportation, बाकी जो indicators हैं, challenges must be similar, right?
Challenges are similar. I don't know the exact data on their transport. India is a much bigger country. Bangladesh is closer to us. But I do know that women's mobility and women's labor force participation is much better in both these countries.
The difference must be then the social factor, where we probably tend to be more careful or more controlling. When we talk about option, again, for women to have an option, and then again, their access to finance, their capability, I think capability it is also about for them to having the right information, right?
Yes.
And access to finances that primarily comes from them participating in the workforce, right?
Participating in the workforce, even schools and colleges you can have financial literacy as part of the curriculum. Pakistan did a very good initiative of life skills curriculum about 4 or 5 years ago, and fairly large scale pilots. But those pilots did not translate into widespread adoption, because not every woman wants to work. I mean, the women who want to work should be able to work, because Pakistan, the other thing, has one of the highest, in higher education, there are more women. But when you come to employment, 70% men are in employment compared to only 24% women. So then it
So
drops.
despite completing their education, they do not get to start a career.
Yes.
And उसकी वजह ये भी तो हो सकती है ना कि there are probably also not many employment opportunities for them. Does our economy, can we absorb these many people within the economy, considering what is the employment ratio compared to the graduates that we have?
You're right. The number of jobs are much less, but the uh, the disparity in the level employed speaks of more than just because every job is not completely filled. So there are social factors that are playing a role. But yes, it's not every graduate can be absorbed in jobs where we do have a shortfall. And I don't know the exact number, but I think every year we need 9 million jobs or something like that. Um, Again, women in entrepreneurship is less than 1%. Men in entrepreneurship is still 15, 16%. So a big difference, even there.
When it comes to their access to finance, women's access to finance, do you see that their income and health are directly proportional or connected somehow?
Yes, yes. Finance affects your health, and health, poor health, is a big drain on finances. Uh, Urban poverty as well as rural poverty is very closely associated with poor health indicators. Uh, Simple things as improving preventive health care can reduce the health costs that people incur. And stress, poverty is basically uncertainty, and deprivation leads to stress. Chronic stress is recognized as the biggest factor for early mortality.
I was actually talking to one of our previous guests, Mario Omar, and we were talking about uh,
Right.
microfinances, and she mentioned about how some of these programs, they're charging like really sinful, in her words, percentages of the markups for microfinances.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
She's correct. She's absolutely correct. Microfinance institutions have a very high interest rate. So it's KIBOR plus generally 10% more. And KIBOR Ajkal is about almost 11%. Having said that, there are low interest loans through organizations like Ahovat and a few other, which are called non-bank microfinance companies, NBFCs. And then some NGOs also provide, plus State Bank is also providing loans. It is tough. I think the barrier is not the availability of loans. The barrier is the trust deficit. When you talk to communities and women in particular who are even doing their own business, they don't have the confidence, and a lot of times they don't have the collateral to go for loans. It is not easy to get uh, a loan from any official institution, whether it's public or whether it's private. Um, we need to look at women-specific products and how to get that information out to them. So while State Bank may have excellent products, if women in the community does not know, there's a big disconnect.
Right. In your experience, जब इन खवातीन को funds release कर दिए जाते हैं and they have like access to those finances, do they also like get to control them, or is it their husbands who get to rather take control of it?
Different situations. World Bank and Karan Das ki report hai that there is almost 50% cases where the woman may be taking the loan, but the husband is the main recipient. But there are also cases where women loanees, as they get comfortable, have their own bank accounts and are controlling. So it's hard to say. It's hard to make a generalized statement, but there is much room for improvement.
It may depend case to case, right?
Yes.
So like in some cases, if they have
support of the husband as well. But if it uplifts the whole family economically, that may help.
It's like everything in life.
Yeah.
It's always a little case by case.
And but do you think, like in some cases, providing this access to finance generally somehow also increases the burden on them, because like that the burden of making money also shifts there.
There's a grain of truth in there as well, but I think that's a burden more women would like to have rather than being helpless
And not having a choice.
Yeah.
So, yes, again, global evidence from India and Bangladesh has shown that for the initial period when women come into the workforce, their overall workload actually increases. There's data on that too.
Right.
And I think even from Western countries, that their workload, women are still primarily caregiving and taking care of the house.
So probably like that's a burden they would happily take.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And
And when a woman starts earning, and you might have seen this in rural, urban slums as well. When a woman starts earning, how does that change her position? Not just like being financially independent or whatever, but within the family, the power dynamics that play in. So, what's your experience?
It changes slowly. And all of a sudden, as even Malcolm Gladwell says, there's a sudden tipping point. So it's not like as soon as she starts working, initially she's carrying a double burden. She's doing her business and she's putting in a lot of time at the home. What we have seen, we've seen it in schools, we've seen it in microfinance women loanees, we've seen it in enterprise, that when income starts coming in, the whole household, which may previously have been against the idea, starts supporting the idea. And in fact, we've seen very supportive husbands who actually, for example, in schools, even start working with their wives as taking care of administration or finance. So, and I am a big believer that in our society, men also are, I won't say the word victims, but influenced by social norms. We have come across many men who often use the word ke log kya kahenge. Matlab, they would like to do it supposedly, but what stops them is log kya kahenge.
Societal barriers, the taboos.
Everyone is a little concerned about how the neighbors will perceive them. And no one wants to, obviously, we're a collective society, no one wants to stand out for the wrong reasons.
And talking about the choices that the couples have, or when I was thinking like with the family planning too, it feels like the contraceptives are at the center of the family planning discussion. But working with all these women, what is your understanding that how much are they aware of contraceptives?
National data shows, and our experience also shows, that close to 85-90% of married women are aware of family planning. But information is not translating into action because Pakistan has also one of the highest what's called unmet need. They don't necessarily want a child, but they're not using family planning. There are many reasons, very well documented, and Punjab is different from Sindh, is different from Balochistan. But the short thing is that this dialogue is happening amongst the couples after the first child. Usually the expectation is that as soon as you get married, within a year, you will have a first child. So maybe if one thing we could do is shift the birth of the first child to at least 2 years or more. But the dialogue is happening.
Yeah.
And at least in urban cities, there is a recognition because of economic necessity that family planning is needed.
Regarding the contraceptives, I also like wanted to take this opportunity to run through few points with you, and I thought like it would be good to have a quick myth or fact segment where you can also say depends if the answer is more complicated, right? So I'll just read out one statement and you let us know what comes to your mind. So, and this is primarily regarding the contraceptives. The pill can affect a woman's body in ways we may not expect. Myths, fact, or depends.
That's true. That's true. Contraceptives are medicines, and every medicine does have a side effect. So, pills, for example, can lead to weight gain, they can lead to acne, they can increase the risk of breast cancer, uh, depending on the hormonal combination. But the point is that the side effects have to be explained and they're manageable, and the decision rests with the woman and the couple.
Yeah.
And that is something we have to see. So, for example, tubal ligation is a permanent method. Tubal ligation should not be offered to women who haven't completed their family size or are young. The requirement is that counseling at the healthcare facility or at the doorstep needs to be uh, suitable to the woman and the couple's need, and that requires dialogue.
And so when there are like these awareness drives at the community level, and the overall making people sensitized about family planning, do we get to also communicate these side effects to people?
So, side effect counseling is a more one on one, personal thing. Health camps for family planning can create an initial awareness, but good counseling is still needed, either by the lady health workers or the private practitioners or at the BHU level.
Okay, I move to the next one, and that's the pill may result women experience depression and anxiety as well.
Yes. Yes. I mean, not every person will have the side effect, the same side effect, but it is a possibility. And depending on the combination of estrogen and progesterone, which are the two components of the pill, side effects may go up and down.
And the last one is that contraceptives pill may reduce libido, which is like women may feel less desire for intimacy after starting with pill. Are they usually aware of it? I mean, again, generally, what's your understanding that do people know about it?
This is, I think, one of the rarer side effects. And if 100 women were given, a few would report that. I am not that. I think this is more of a myth rather than one of the common side effects.
Okay, so we have one myth out of these. Right. So, but generally, like I think कि जो yes, जो urban slums तक भी तो बहुत मुश्किल होगा, but generally जो urban areas में भी are people aware of these things, or do they just randomly use it, and what should be the frequency of it? किस तरह से like इसको they may rather for it?
Up to everyone has literally the encyclopedia on their phone. Usme there's right information and there's also misleading information. I think depending on what type of methods, because methods be 5-6 types ke hain, it depends on what the couple's needs are. And a counseling session with the healthcare provider or the lady health worker is necessary. So I would not recommend just picking up from the internet the side effects, because Again, every medicine has 100 side effects that rarely happen.
And it may or may not affect a person depending on their situation. So, for example, if somebody is like 24 years old, 25 years old, compared to somebody who's like 40, 45,
Yes.
also has diabetes, blood pressure, so
Yes.
it may interact with the body, with the other medicines that they're taking differently, right? So that needs to be consulted.
Yes.
Or I mean, generally, is it prescribed, or is it just available over the counter?
Pharmacies say that it's available over the counter.
Yeah.
But the first time women start contraception, they should get health advice.
Now I have another segment for you.
Yes.
I'll show you 3 cards,
Okay.
and you have to rank them, keeping in mind that what affects a woman's health the most in Pakistan.
Okay. Wow. Household, hospital. All right. I think definitely household power dynamics. When there's scarcity, women will often, as we know and we've seen in some situations, women will often take the least for themselves or compromise their own needs the most. I think money is a big stressor, and stress leads to chronic cortisol release and hospital. Good care is required, but between the household and the hospital, there are many preventive care facilities that should be utilized before going straight. Pakistan is also another place where people go from community to tertiary care places. But I think definitely household and money are the biggest
2 primary.
indicator. Yes.
So it's household, then having access to finance, and then of course having the right conditions as well for the treatment. There are like so many awareness campaigns around family planning and whatnot, but this doesn't seem to be much success, particularly in Pakistan. And I think like in Bangladesh, they have been fairly successful in controlling their population.
Yes.
Why do you think that our campaigns, they fail? Is it is the problem in messaging, or is the problem in having the right condition to implement those things?
I think both. People don't like being told, and this is a very personal matter. People don't like being told how many children they should have. And 2, the pressure of social norms. For men, often you hear that masculinity, mardangi, is tied into how many sons they have. And in certain situations, a woman's position in the household is also strengthened by the number of children, or in particular, sons she has. So social norms play a big role, and there is a lot of pressure to follow social norms. So I think both the messaging cannot be general campaigns. Each household has its own individual need. And people need to decide what works for them. So as I said, economic necessity is bringing a lot of family planning, more than the messaging.
And when we generally talk about like family planning, in a lot of countries, there is a population collapse as well. And they're rather more worried that in 50, 60 years, there are, there'll be not enough people in the country to bring that required man force.
Yes.
Or manpower. So in that context, and also looking at the case of India and China, where population has gone over the roof, particularly in India, I think they should have been a lot more worried. But influx of population has also brought its own benefits, probably that people couldn't see 30, 40 years ago.
Yes.
So how do you see overall, when we talk about population control?
I see two things. I see one, that Pakistan's fertility rate is also going down. It's still high. It's still...
I think particularly in Karachi, it's quite low now. I was looking at one of the data points where I thought that...
I am not aware because Karachi has one of the best CPRs in Sindh.
Right.
But overall, Karachi's CPR, because of urban areas, urban slums, is somewhat pulled down. Two things. Pakistan's fertility is also going down, and in 5 to 10 years, Pakistan's fertility will kind of go down and plateau. It's not that we're going to keep on going up. And two, I think our people are just कहते हैं ना, demographic dividend. We need to think of population planning as more than just controlling the population. We also need to think about building this human resource, good quality education. I mean, forget about 26 million. That's shameful. That's really shameful.
26 million who are out of school.
Who are out of school, but even the 25 or 26 million that are in school,
they are not learning either.
Education quality needs to improve, because at the end of the day, it's employability. Are we producing people who are employable in today's knowledge economy? Though I am optimistic that our concern about CPR is not an endless concern. People are very smart. People sense when things need to be done. Unki situation may not allow them, and that's what we need to work.
And when you see some of the development programs, government level maybe, and donor-funded projects as well, do you sometimes feel that the focus needs to be shifted to something else rather than,
Many a times.
Yeah.
Many a times. Things are changing. Programming also needs to change with times. What do I mean? The feeling that we have that family planning is taboo, that we shouldn't be talking about it, I think that time has passed. I think what we really need to look is why are people who have the information still not using it? What is it about our social norms, about our services? For example, unmarried girls and boys are not given information on family planning for risk that it will promote sexual behaviors. The point is, and again...
Sorry, explain that a little more.
So lady health workers will not counsel unmarried boys and girls about family planning and post-marriage behaviors. Mm-hmm. The point is, in a country where almost 95% women and men will get married.
Right. So probably this should be part of the curriculum.
Yes. This is the time. Why would you not counsel them? Why would you not give them age-appropriate information on sexual and reproductive health? It's a reality of life. By not sharing that information, you are not doing any service to them or the national agenda.
And why do you think that there isn't much conversation about it in our curriculum? And when we are teaching our kids in schools, in colleges, this particular piece of information is completely, not part of it? Or is it social? Is it that socially we are too conservative to openly talk about it?
It is there in some private schools, and even in life skills education, there was a bit of aspect of reproductive health. But again, it needs to be more mainstream. And that is the advocacy that we need, all partners working in this area need to do, that you have to, if you want to reach a particular goal, then you do have to follow the necessary steps.
Although we have like a high dropout ratio for girls particularly, middle tak I think like 50% of them leave school, right?
Eighth के
grade
ऊपर,
तक,
yes,
yeah.
बहुत steep drop होता है.
Steep drop hota hai. So
Yeah.
by 8th grade, at least, if we provide this information to them, so that can at least reach out to a majority of
Yes.
women in Pakistan. Right?
Because 8th पे, I think puberty, they're
Yeah.
around 12, 13.
I'm not sure though, like what's there in the curriculum these days. I'm sure कि ज़्यादा change नहीं आया होगा from the time when I studied.
Life skills ka, I'm not sure ke life skills is taught in public schools.
Right.
Yeah. And I do know that low-income private schools, maybe, they don't have life skills education.
You have worked in so many areas, from reproductive health to infectious diseases. You work closely with a lot of women as well. I'm sure you see the interlinks between the society, which is why like you talk about education as well, and which is why like you're aware of some of the most pressing issues that would not be solved until unless the other areas also improve, because they're contributing towards that.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you could change, what's that one thing you wholeheartedly believe that we need to focus more towards that?
Again, I think multiple things come together to work. But if there was one thing I could change, I would make sure that livelihood and health programs function together as one.
Right.
In the sense that if you're thinking of bringing women into the labor force, then go back and look at how can we increase family planning, how can we increase good knowledge about puberty and reproductive health, how can we ensure that right from the beginning, girls have access to schooling. So basically, I would not think of any one thing as separate. I would...
Because they're like interlinked as well.
Yes.
Right. So just now, for example, I was like really astonished to see that clean drinking water, that is also linked to malnutrition.
Yes.
Right. And it is also linked to education somehow. The malnutrition, right?
Yes. If a child becomes malnourished before age 3, then lifelong.
It affects their brain development, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you've lost the learning ability potential. And then a friend of mine who works with sports teams says that the difference between low-income private schools ke bacche and regular private schools ke bacche, literally height mein inches ka fark hai.
Right.
And it's nutrition early on, which is...
And do we have any data of malnutrition in Pakistan?
Yes. Pakistan mein 40% stunting.
40%, right.
Stunting, which means irreversible damage. And that's because mothers mein anemia hai and poor nutritional health hai. So when frequent pregnancies deplete, and it starts a whole cycle.
So 40% stunting, right?
Yes.
So 40% stunting means that 40% of this population would not be able to achieve their full intellectual potential, right?
So, yes.
Regardless of the fact if they get to go to school or not.
They would be able to complete schooling, but wo ek hota hai na potential.
Compared to
they
other
could
countries,
have
for
been
example.
so much more. And
Yeah.
it's sad because, again, Pakistan is an agriculture country.
Yeah.
Why would we have food deficiencies? Is it because of scarcity? And us pe bhi data hai. It's not just scarcity, but it's also absorption. Frequent infections distort how food is absorbed. Though unsafe water leads to frequent gastric infections, leads
So
to
then when you have
malnutrition.
these infections, jo bhi aap khayenge, it wouldn't absorb
It
properly,
won't
right?
absorb, yes.
And that would again lead to malnutrition.
Huh.
Does it affect women differently?
I mean, women, the biggest indicator of anemia and low weight and nutritional status is frequent pregnancies. Nutrition poor hoti hai, but frequent, less than WHO recommends 2 years interval. Lekin usse kam hota hai. Ideally, to they recommend 3. So a lot of lost potential there. I think Pakistan has so much potential. I'm a die-hard optimist. I think Pakistan's people have so much potential. We really, really just need to be listening to them and wo hota hai na, giving back. I am also a believer that corruption kisi bhi country mein 0% you can't do.
Yeah.
But there is this thing that how much corruption? I mean, take 50%, but at least put 50% back into effective programming. Because realistically, this country is surviving because we have 240 million people. They are what's saving us. And they deserve so much better. So how can we give them a voice? How can we give them information, opportunities, and access? They're not asking. So how can we make the road so that they can find their own dreams and aspiration? I think each one of us needs to look for that answer.
And I think taking inspiration from your father, Dr. Akhtar Hameed Khan, rather than looking for the limitations and lack of resources or support, I think each one of us, if we play our role the right way, there is a lot we can achieve together.
We can. I mean, and we owe it to the people because they're not giving up. We can't give up.
Before we conclude, I have one question to ask you that was asked by our previous guest. What's an advice you decided not to take and you're glad you didn't?
Don't go back to Pakistan.
Don't go.
So in my medical school class, which was 50, I'm a graduate class of 93 from Aachen. 4 or 5 people are here now. Initially, when I came back in 2005, only 2 or 3 people were here. All our friends, Pakistani and Americans, said, why would you go back? In America, a doctor is comfortable. You live your own life, you're working, you have a nice, comfortable life. Everyone said, don't go back. I think it was one of the best decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so glad. Things have worked well, things have not worked well, but overall,
it's rewarding.
It's rewarding.
But do you think that it's because you have been able to create that impact here that you wouldn't have been able to do it there? Is that so?
I think apne log hote hain. The sense of community, at least that I feel for our people, and because there's so much of work to do. I'm not sure ke impact kitna hua hai and ho, because we're all trying our little bit. But the fact is that the sense of satisfaction is much more that you're in your country with your people. And I think that's an amazing feeling.
Dr. Ayesha, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's lovely talking to you, and I hope to see you soon again.